Okay, I wanted to wait until there were only like 8 people in the house, but we have like 4 weeks of the show left, and with a rumored double and triple eviction coming in the next 2 weeks, I'm gonna have nobody to talk about if I don't make this video right now. Big Brother 27 has been quite possibly the single most unpredictable season of all time, and because of it, I have no idea what I'm doing today. In the nicest way possible, these players are all so flawed in their own individual ways that I am having such an incredibly difficult time figuring out where to place anyone. I literally don't feel confident with a single one of my choices, which maybe isn't the best thing to broadcast right before the video starts, but I don't want to lie to you. So this ordering is my prediction on who I think has the best shot at winning the whole thing, but take these rankings with the tiniest grain of salt, because knowing this cast, my number one pick could very easily be evicted next week. Consider subscribing or liking the video if that's the vibe you're going for, otherwise, I'm gonna rank you at the number 10 spot. And without further ado, here is my very messy Big Brother 27 midseason player ranking.
I think Keanu winning is a good thing, but I can't help but have some doubts. I think that he's pretty skeptical of me right now.
So, let's talk business for a second. These videos, they take time to make. Because of that, I cannot be 100% updated when it comes to what I'm saying. I tried to wait as long as possible to write this script to at least try and have as accurate of an opinion as I can. But I'm not gonna have Thursday morning information at my disposal. So, just to be completely transparent, I am writing this on Tuesday afternoon. It is entirely possible that things have completely changed since then, so please bear with me if that's the case. Spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen the veto episode yet, but as it currently stands, we have Mickey, Vince, and Ashley on the block. However, even knowing that one of the 3 of them is guaranteed to go home in 10th place, I'm still gonna put Kelley at the bottom spot anyways. Oh, Kelley. Kelley. Kelley is by far one of the most interesting and hilarious players that I have ever seen, in the sense that she is so unaware of the game that is being played, yet has somehow survived for this long. Kelley wakes up, volunteers for the block sometimes, goes into Thursday nights as the primary target every couple of weeks, and then effortlessly wins the blockbuster to save herself like a champion. That's a little iconic, I must say, but I truthfully have no faith in Kelley being able to win in the final 2 next to literally anyone else in the game, and I also see her as an unbelievably likely player to go home during the triple eviction or even the double eviction. However, she has shown an elite ability to perform in these quick immunity competitions, and she does have Keanu as a solid ally. So she at least has something going on, but nothing great enough to warrant a placement above anyone else.
These bitches are terrified of me.
Yeah, but Kelley, you gotta start turning it into other comments.
Yeah.
Coming in at number 9, I'll talk about the player who is seemingly actually in the most danger this week. And that's Mickey. Mickey has been the primary target pretty much every week since she evicted Jimmy. But she pulled out a clutch gene that I didn't know she had, winning a blockbuster and a veto in back-to-back weeks when she needed it the most. Unfortunately for her, it does seem like the votes may fall on her tonight if she doesn't pull out a 3rd straight win. On a more positive note though, Mickey still has her bond with Ashley and is seemingly trying to fall back in line with Rachel, which I do think is the right idea for her. But similar to Kelley, Mickey is not super aware of the inner dynamics that are dictating the flow of the game, and she is currently just a straggler holding on for dear life. However, I do see a world where the votes flip and she can potentially survive the block against Vince. And if that happens, then she does have a chance to just keep winning and surviving. But as it currently stands, I don't see her beating anyone other than Kelley in the final 2, and she's probably gonna go home in the next couple of rounds, if not tonight.
I don't know what's worse, Kelley winning or Keanu winning. I'll start packing my bags now.
When I first started writing this, I had this player as high as the number 5 spot. But oh my god, have they completely crowned themselves the king of Mount Messiness this week. So, dropping down to the number 8 spot, I have the current HOH, Keanu. Keanu, man, I tried. I really tried to have faith in you, but you blew everything up. The complete chaos that transpired before the veto meeting absolutely sunk what little positional standing Keanu had left in the game, because having Rachel as an ally was one of the only things he had going for him. But after he conspired to put her up as the replacement and she found out, yeah, he's toast. Now, the one thing that's keeping Keanu afloat for me is literally just his competition ability. Keanu doesn't win every competition, but he certainly wins the ones that he needs to. And that ability to win with all the pressure in the world on your shoulders, and to do it while walking, is something that I cannot ignore. Also, he did seemingly win over Kelley and Lauren this week, and gaining 2 allies at this point in the game is nothing to scoff at, especially when they're both decent competitors that actually could keep him safe. Don't get it twisted though, in pretty much every game regard, Keanu is not very good, and he might be sending his own ally out this week. But in the grand scheme of things, I have to admit that competitions are a huge part of the Big Brother endgame, and there is nobody that I feel more confident to win those competitions than Keanu.
You've already burned me 3 times. A 4th when I'm HOH is unacceptable.
Please, man, please don't put me on the block.
I don't need you to beg, I need you to win.
Okay, it feels weird to put this player at the number 7 spot, but their game has been such a roller coaster of volatility in the past few weeks that I don't know what to do with them anymore. And that player is Vince. Now, the big elephant in the room is that Vince very well might be evicted tonight. From where I'm sitting here on Tuesday, he could be evicted next to both Ashley and Mickey. But oh my goodness, does this guy have people fighting for him to stay. Morgan and Lauren are both number 1 allies for Vince, and Keanu is trying hard to protect him, even though he was the HOH that put him in this position in the first place. If Vince can win the blockbuster or survive the vote this week, I can see him continuing to weasel and tear his way through the coming weeks. But he's already kissed death in this game, and I think it's only a matter of time before death kisses back. So even though he has some super tight connections, he's been in the hot seat for far too long. And he really fumbled the ball this week. So he's towards the bottom of my ranking.
Knew last week he's gonna throw my whole game away. Son of a bitch.
Okay, I just wanted to make a quick statement and say that any one of those 4 players that I talk about could have landed in your bottom spot, and I wouldn't argue with you. This is just a wacky house full of bad game players. Alright, that's all. Up next at the number 6 spot, I am putting Ava Pearl. For the record, I am rooting for Ava hard. Ava is my fiance's favorite player. So, that means that Ava is my favorite player. And the good news is that I genuinely do think that she is in a better position to win than everyone else we just talked about. The bad news, though, is that I still don't think it's very likely. Ava has good individual relationships with players like Will and Lauren now and Rachel, but outside of one-on-one connections, Ava is struggling a bit. She's not in the judges, and she's not in whatever the heck you want to call the other side of the house, so she's kind of a lone wolf, and that can be a scary position to be in. However, I think a lot of people will be vying to pick her up as a number because she is a key vote this week and everyone knows it. So that might just re-jumpstart her chances once jury begins. I do fear that Ava is playing too lackadaisically and that if she doesn't start kicking it into a higher gear, she'll eventually be taken out simply because she doesn't have an alliance going to bat for her. But I do still see a spark of hope here, which is enough for me to put her above some of her competitors.
Oh, we can work together in the future, and I'm like, oh, the future
Hopefully
is...
that's today.
Ava Pearl does not want to go on that block twice in a row, okay?
2 weeks ago, this player was nearly evicted. This week, this player was on the block as the HOH's main target. But this player survived through it all, so Morgan has landed herself at the number 5 spot. I guess. If you couldn't tell, I'm not feeling too great about Morgan here. And that's largely due to the fact that she was actually considering using the veto on Vince this week while she was on the block. But she didn't, so that's something. Now, Morgan does actually have some good things going for her. She's one of the most active players on this season. She plays really hard, and she won her first competition this week, so we can finally see that she is capable of pulling out a win when she needs it. However, a big downside for her is that because she's fighting so hard to try and keep Vince this week, she's drawing a line in the sand with the rest of the judges, which will assuredly put her towards the bottom of that alliance if Vince leaves. But something that I want us to keep in mind is the fact that I actually feel like Morgan has a possible path to work with either side of the house down the home stretch. If she can finagle her way into an alliance with Lauren and Kelley, that could be so good for Morgan's winning chances. I just don't think she's gonna go down that route. Even so, there are still a lot of targets standing in front of Morgan, and I see enough potential upside with her to make me feel okay putting her at the number 5 spot.
I'm trying not to panic because Vince is my guy and I need to get to work.
Up next at number 4, I think I'm gonna go with Ashley. The crazy thing here is that Ashley is almost in my top 3, and she is on the block this week. If Mickey wins the blockbuster and Ashley is sitting next to Vince on eviction night, it's probably going to be a 4-3 vote. But it does look very likely that Ashley has the 4 votes secured to stay, and she should survive this. Even if she does survive, though, I'm not sure how likely it is that she actually wins the game. The good thing that she has going for her is that she does have allies. Rachel and Will have got her back 100%, and she still has a great connection with Mickey, too. However, Rachel and Will being her closest allies is kind of a double-edged sword, because that means those are the 2 most likely people for Ashley to be sitting next to in the final 2, and I don't know if she's beating either of them in a jury vote currently. There's still time for her to turn things around and make some moves to put her in a spot to win the game. But Ashley is kind of messy when it comes to the things that she shares, and as things currently stand, I think she has an uphill battle when it comes to winning the whole shebang. At the end of the day, though, she's on the side that I think will triumph this season, and she's insulated well on that side, which is enough for me to keep her pretty high on this list.
Keanu told me how Keanu's like.
Keanu and I have kind of been at odds and not working together practically this whole game. I don't know, Rachel, it just doesn't make sense.
Alrighty, we are at the top 3, and somehow I haven't talked about Lauren yet, so even though I'm feeling pretty wary of doing so, Lauren's gonna land here at my number 3 spot. Now, I think compared to a lot of people on this cast, Lauren is a very competent player. She's one of the only true fans in there, she's preparing for future competitions, and she's shown to be a fairly solid competitor in general, which could keep her safe in the coming weeks. The big issue, though, arises in the fact that she simply doesn't have the numbers. Her main ally is Vince, who is like the worst person to have as your main ally. And outside of Vince, she has Keanu and Kelley and Ava now, I guess, who also aren't really the greatest allies in the world. But it is something. And to be fair, these are the players that Lauren feasibly could be in a final 2. Outside of that, though, I'm not feeling super duper confident. Lauren has played a very quiet game so far, and although it has kept her off the block for the entire season, it hasn't put her in a commanding position to get to the end of the game. I fear that the next couple of weeks could be pretty treacherous for her and her allies, but because she's not as big of a target as Keanu or even Kelley, it might buy her some time. And that, combined with her competitive upside and the fact that she's not in any danger of going home this week, was enough for me to place her up here at the number 3 spot. The bottom line is that I don't think Lauren's side of the house is likely to be the side that wins this game. But in the off chance that they do win the game, I think Lauren is the most likely winner from that group.
This is the 3rd week in a row that someone that I was close with has left. Remember, playing safe and sitting in the background is as good as nothing.
Coming in at the number 2 spot, we have a player that so very easily could have been evicted last week, this week, and could also go home next week. But after looking at the rest of the field, I genuinely didn't see any good reason to put almost any of them above her. So, at the number 2 spot, I do in fact have Rachel Riley. Rachel has fought so hard to keep her allies in the house all season long, and as we get into the jury stage, we might see it finally pay off. Rachel has so many connections that could save her in a tight spot. She has Ashley, and Will, and Mickey, and Morgan, sorta, and Ava if she can salvage that, and whatever the heck's going on with Keanu. She is such a gigantic target, yet she still has managed to go the entire season without touching the block, and I know that as the numbers keep dwindling down, her HOH genetics are gonna kick in, and she's gonna be a favorite to win a comp during the double or the triple. On the other side of that coin, though, she is also going to be extremely vulnerable during the double and the triple. Vince going home this week will boost her score tremendously. But in the event that he stays, then she's losing an ally, and that'll make her road a bit more difficult. I do think that if she can make it to the Final Four, then Rachel will win this game. But I would be lying to you if I said that it's gonna be a breeze for her to get there.
He tried to get me backdoored the week after I kept him safe, but I guess I'm gonna have to be his best friend until the nomination ceremony.
And now, at the number 1 spot, the player that I think is in the best spot to win the game is Will. But get this, I'm not very confident about this either. Really, this choice boils down to the fact that pretty much every single other person in the house is a target for someone else, whereas Will just isn't. Nobody is gunning for Will. Nobody is worried that Will is going to go on a competition streak. Nobody is looking in Will's direction, and it's made him the most likely player to make it to the Final Four by far in my eyes. However, Will is playing it way too chill. It's been a great strategy to help him survive these super chaotic weeks, but I feel like he needs to actively play a little bit more because I don't want him to be in this really great position only to fall victim to the role of the guy who didn't really do anything and then lose in the final 2 because of it. Will has so much social ammo, and I really think he has the ability to pull off something big, but I just need him to not be as chill as he's been with some of these super important votes. Even with that, though, I still think Will is in the best spot to make it to the end of the game, and it's not by accident. He's got Ava, he's got Ashley, he's got Rachel, and nobody on the other side is targeting him. I do have faith that Will can bring it all together and give a good pitch as to why he should win the game if he's in the final 2. So, because of that, Will lands at my number 1 spot.
But I feel pretty solid. The Judges Alliance is looking good. Plus I have Ava. Plus I have Mickey as well.
And there we go. As I mentioned earlier, this was really hard to make because these players flip the game on its head every other day, and I don't even know who's going to get evicted this week. Hopefully something didn't happen that completely swirled all the plans up today, but like I said, who knows with these players. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you're new here, consider subscribing. I, of course, need to give that extra special shout out to all of my YouTube members and patrons who I would have the hardest time ranking because, unlike this group of house guests, I'd want to put them all in the number 1 spot. And, as always, here's a clip for you on your way out.
So I'm just giving him the poison.
I'm literally trying to throw the competition. They say pick your poison. I hope I do pick the poison.